Hello guys, this is Donald's Movies, and welcome to the 7th episode of the Versus series. In this one, I will be giving you a possible battle scenario between the two race leaders, Sylvanas and Tyrande. So, with all the current information we have, let's see who would win in a duel.
The capital city is ours, but we are no longer part of the Scourge. From here on out, we shall be known as the Forsaken. We will find our own path in this world, Dreadlord, and slaughter anyone who stands in our way.
Sylvanas is one of the Windrunner sisters and one of the most prominent High Elves. Through many conflicts and most importantly the Second War, she became the leader of the most elite High Elven force, acquiring the rank of a Ranger General. When Lordaeron fell with the death of Tyrande and the corruption of Arthas, she valiantly defended Quotalas, her homeland, from the Scourge invasion, but in the end failed. Due to all the trouble she has put Arthas through using her guerrilla tactics, she wasn't given a quick death, but instead had her soul torn apart from her body, becoming the first High Elven Banshee. She served under his command until his power started to fade, and then she regained her free will and her body. At that point, she had one plan, and that was just to destroy Arthas. Through a plot with the Dreadlords who also wanted Arthas dead, she manipulated him. First, she led him into a Dreadlord ambush, and just as he managed to escape, he was led into an ambush of her own. From the shadows, he was hit by a very powerful arrow, which would have easily killed him if it wasn't for Kel'Thuzad, who intervened, killing her rangers, driving her back, and saving Arthas' life. Sylvanas, even though free and away from Arthas, was left in a very bad position since she was still an undead, and soon enough she was approached by Varimatras, the Dreadlord, who demanded her service, but Sylvanas was very hesitant on providing it. She was aware that the Dreadlords wouldn't just leave her alone, so she knew that she had to strike first, and since she lacked any army, Sylvanas gathered and mind-controlled the creatures around her, such as the ogres, the gnolls, the bandits, and the murlocs, and soon enough she defeated Varimatras and his army and forced him to serve her. Through that pact she defeated other Dreadlords and had also taken Undercity for the Forsaken. A few years later, even though the war had ended, the Forsaken still weren't safe as they were one of the main targets of the Alliance, so through a strategic pact she joined the Horde, providing them with a base in the Eastern Kingdoms and her with protection. Fast forward to Wrath of the Lich King, Arthas was defeated and thus her main goal was complete. At that point she just wanted to end her life, so she jumped from the Frozen Throne, only to realize that an eternal hell awaits her as an undead and that there is just no way to avoid it. Luckily for her, the Valkyr who once served the Lich King offered her a deal of resurrecting her and keeping her safe if she would allow them to come with her. Ever since that realization, Sylvanas' #1 goal was to stay alive in order to avoid eternal torment, thus organizing many aggressive war campaigns in the Alliance in order to secure more land for the Forsaken and keep her and Undercity safe.
That's very noble of you, priestess, but you're no match for a force that vast.
The goddess is my shield, Warden. Elune will grant me the strength.
It's working. She's holding them back.
Merciful goddess.
Tyrande is one of the leaders of the Night Elves and one of the most prominent figures in the Night Elven history. She grew up together with Illidan and Malfurion and played a big part in the initial Burning Legion invasion, the War of the Ancients. During that time is when she became the High Priestess and really chose the path of Elune, the Moon Goddess. After the dust had settled, her mate Malfurion went to perform his druidic duty in the Emerald Dream while she kept peace and led her people. 10,000 years after the first invasion, the Burning Legion had returned, and she played a vital role as she gathered the Night Elven forces in an attempt to defend Kalimdor. Tyrande has also awakened the druids, including Malfurion's Stormrage, and freed Illidan from his 10,000-year-old prison in order to battle the demons. At the end, she personally fought and bought time for the spirits to gather around Nordrassil in order to defeat Archimonde in an explosion that would put the end to the second Burning Legion invasion. Since then, she has been leading the Night Elves alone, while Malfurion was in the Emerald Dream, all until the Nightmare started. Tyrande searched for Malfurion herself and helped him defeat the Nightmare Lord Xavius, and in the end she got married to Malfurion, and since then they have been leading the Night Elven people. With the recent trouble, she has been fending off the invasion of Garrosh through Ashenvale, and during Mist of Pandaria she led the Night Elves personally as they laid siege to the city of Orgrimmar. So, if Sylvanas and Tyrande faced off in a 1v1 duel, who would win? Sylvanas was once a ranger of Quoltalas and was really good at it. Along the way, she picked up a lot of useful fighting skills such as camouflage, guerrilla tactics, and general stealth combat. After her death, she turned into a Dark Ranger, which is a mix between a sorcerer and a ranger, but she still kept some of her previous skills. At this point, we know that she has abilities such as draining life and using mind control, and also raising skeletons. In Warcraft 3, she has almost killed Arthas with an arrow, although that doesn't really mean that she can defeat him in 1v1 combat, because he did kill her in a duel when she was still a high elf, so that doesn't really say much, but she still did cause a lot of damage. Apart from her own fighting, she has a lot of experience as a general and as a leader, both as a high elf and a Forsaken. She also has led forces in almost all important campaigns since the Second War. We know that Sylvanas can be killed easily due to the protection of the Valkyr and the fact that she's an undead, so she doesn't really take wounds the same as a person that is alive, and when she killed herself a few years ago near the Frozen Throne, she knew that only sharp Sarnite Spike from a big distance would be able to fully destroy her. However, during Cataclysm, she was actually killed by Lord Godfrey the Gilnean, and then later on resurrected by the Valkyr. Tyrande is a priestess, a hunter, and a ranger who is very skilled with a bow, but that is not her strongest suit as she is the Elune's favorite and has great protection from the Moon Goddess. We have seen her use the powers of Elune on many occasions, such as casting Moonfire upon her enemies, and also Elune casting a shield on Tyrande in order to avoid the fatal blow. Apart from just the powers of Elune, she is very skilled with the bow and has over 10,000 years of experience fighting in many battles such as the two Burning Legion invasions, the Emerald Nightmare, the Cataclysm, and the Siege of Orgrimmar, and many different smaller battles in between. So just like Sylvanas, she is also very experienced as a general and as a tactician, while she also has a lot of personal fighting skills. In the end result of this duel, in my opinion, I think Tyrande would take the lead. Not really as in killing each other, as both of them are kinda immortal in their own way. Sylvanas can get resurrected and doesn't really take damage as any other person, while Tyrande has the protection of Elune, who would not really give up easily on Tyrande. I personally think that Sylvanas is a bit more of a skilled ranger, but Tyrande still has 10,000 years of experience, which is an insane amount of time when you think about it, considering that Sylvanas isn't even really that old since the High Elves have lost their immortality about 7,000 years ago. And just before someone argues in the comments about how the 20-year-old Arthas defeated Illidan, who is about as old as Tyrande, I would say that is because of the powers of Ner'zhul, and also the fact that Illidan was in a really dark prison for like 10,000 years, so he didn't really have a lot of time to practice his fighting skills. Alright, that is all here for this video. Now do leave your suggestions for the next versus video, and also who you would think would win in this one. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe if you're not subscribed already, as it really helps with the channel and keeps all the videos going. And thanks all for taking your time out of the day to watch this video, and see you next time.
Все, как